but you're pinching yourself because this is a show you've watched for years and years and years and loved.
Yeah.
Because I love it. And before the audience comes in, you've got to do Bully's prize board. So you've got like this. You've got Tony there going, in one. And you're going, make finding lost treasure an absolute pleasure with his Viking metal detector.
You're on podcast with me, John Lebbon, Anthony Ellis, and the legend Dave Spikey. Dave, welcome to the show.
It's good to be here in my house. Have you got he just said to me, before we start, have you got a toilet? I went, yeah. Yeah. I know it's Charlie, but you know, you have to go through the kitchen to get to it. It's got oven and everything.
But we were talking about your former career as well, NHS. We feel like we should probably clap at the start because that's... I know. You probably get more respect for the NHS days than the comedy at the minute.
Yeah, it's like it's 20 years since I left.
Right.
Sometimes I can't believe it. It's because I was there for 32 and I left on Friday the 13th, 2020, October. And I left and I hung my white coat up the last time. I turned my microscope off for the last time. And I was in charge of the haematology lab. And I walked out and a couple of weeks later, I'm sat in a car park dressed as a giant berry, singing, walking on sunshine in the pouring down rain, thinking, was this a good career move? But obviously it was. But yeah, 20 years.
Were you clapping each Thursday for it? Because we were talking about this, because it went from like a respectful clap, then people started putting music on, convoys, and then it was a rave. You've got to get steaming on a Thursday because it's NHS.
Well, we did that. We had Thursdays, and we did a Zoom night with all the lads, all the families who go in the pub that's been shot. So we had a Zoom night every Thursday, and we played games, or we did lip sync competitions. Can you believe that? Yeah. Me and my wife came second with Cinderella Rockefeller. Don't know if you remember that. Esther and Abby O'Farrell. Number one for 3 weeks, 1980. We did that, and we did murder mysteries, and then, at the right time, we all went down to the bottom of the street. Like you said, it went a bit mad with people with pots and pans. But it's great. It's quite emotional, I thought, right at the beginning, when it first started, when, the pressure was really on and nobody knew where we were going to go with it. And, it's a brilliant thing, because when you've come up the road there, it's a long road, the road at the bottom, and it's just people... just packed coming out, just applauding. It's just it was a wonderful feeling, really.
The first few weeks of it were nice, weren't they? Then by the end, it almost like if you weren't out, then you'd have people on the street going, "Oh, where's she?"
Yeah, you did. You know what I mean? No, you did. Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes you'd be just like, I just got to nip and do that. My wife's like, I just got to put dryer on. We've not got time to put dryer on. And you get down and they're already applauding with looking at each other, going.
Was it hard to go from the NHS to comedy? Because I've done comedy. I was telling Anthony, the money in comedy is shocking, isn't it? You'll get an email through, fancy opening Hull, 70 quid. It's a hard jump to go from full time to...
even before that, John, when you start, long story short, I started doing stand-up in 1987, so 13 years before I left the NHS, only because I used to do pantomimes, I used to write and produce pantomimes for the hospital staff, and I didn't want to be on stage. I just like directing them and writing them and stuff. And then somebody drops out and you've got to go on because the show must go on and all that. And so I went on and I just found out that I loved getting the laughs backstage. I enjoyed hearing what I'd written, but then actually being on stage, and it sort of got hooks you, doesn't it? So I think it's a brilliant, brilliant feeling. And then this nurse who I know, who was in it, called Abigail Todd, who was a nutter. Abigail Todd, she was, honestly, she used to be Abigail Todd, my name. Don't call me Abigail, I won't answer to Abigail, you must call me Abby. And I went like, yeah, but you're called Abby Todd. Abby Todd, you. Oh, I never thought of that. I'm a bit odd. Yes, you are. Anyway, it was her when I came off stage. She went, I watch all the comedians. You're really funny. You should be a comedian. And I took her seriously for some reason. And that was like, I said, 1987. So I done talent shows. First one, I went and did Scarborough Opera House. It's not there now. It's a World of Wicker. And then I won that. I'd never done anything. And I thought, comedy, I got to the national final, Torquay, Search for the Stars. And Larry Grayson was on, I've got a picture of it somewhere. Larry Grayson was one of the judges, Nina Mishkoff, Dora Bryan, the great Dora Bryan. And I won it. And Larry Grayson afterwards was saying, what won it for you was this routine about juggling on a motorbike, which my last tour was, just sort of reliving the moment. And then I came back up north and thought, hey, I tell you what, I could make a living doing this, really. But I was still, like I said, it was 13 years, because then you've got reality hits. When you come back up here at the time, there was only the working men's clubs, wasn't there? So, I died on my backside in like 75% of them, because I don't do gag.
All fellas just want the jokes. They're brought up on the comedians and things like that.
And that's fair enough, but and you can see him like looking at me and just ignoring me for a bit and going, has he not got a fat mother-in-law? What's going on?
Yeah.
Does he not know an Irishman, a Scotsman and an Englishman? Yeah. And but in some it went all right. And of course, as well as Dynamite, I gathered loads of material for when we started writing Phoenix, although I sort of knew that world anyway. But then, luckily, and I packed it in for about a year, because I thought, I can't work like this every night, getting paid off and not getting paid, or getting thrown off the stage and stuff. And then it happened, didn't it? The whole chair shifting comedy. I hate tags, but it all went alternative-wise. And I went to a workshop at Bolton Octagon Theatre where I met Agraman. Did you ever meet Agraman?
Oh, Agraman, the promoter, isn't he?
Yeah.
He still does it.
He's over in, I think he's East Coast now, Agraman, isn't he?
Hornsey, over at Hornsey, just outside of Hull, isn't it? He's still got a few shows, even his wife.
John, he's called John. Agraman, the human anagram. What a great bloke. And he was working there, and he said, you must come over to my club in Manchester, Buzz Club. It's just opening up, and it's like a Saturday Night Live thing. We have a music stage, and we have a comedy stage. And it's like walking in, I found it. This is where I want to be, sort of thing. I can get up and just chat and tell stories and stuff. And it was that first change of comedy. I know they call it alternative, but whatever, more like the folk club comedians used to be, like Billy Connolly and Jasper Carrott, just telling stories in between the songs. But then it's a long story, a long answer, wasn't it? But then, it's a hard slog then, because you've got to get gigs, and you've got to be phoning up for gigs, and you've got to do open spots. There's a routine. You've got to do open spots. And then I used to go down to London after work, the hospital. I'd drive down to London and do an open spot in a club in, I don't know, Camden or somewhere like that, or Ealing, Tuesday night, and then do all right, and then phone them up the day after and say, so can I get a gig? And they'd go, well, I couldn't get down last night. Can you pop down next weekend?
You do about 4 or 5 open spots for people, don't you? And like you say, you're not getting paid for it, and you'll get in at 2 o'clock in the morning, have to get up at 6 again for work. And
absolutely.
People think it's like dead glamorous, don't they? Like, comedy, it's probably the least glamorous.
So how did your first gig go? Like, did it go okay then? Like the first time you got on stage? Because I always think if it doesn't go well, and you start getting the dry mouth, and you start getting sweaty, I think, what then drives you on to actually want to go and do it again? Yeah.
Well, no, as I say, I was lucky really, because I just chose the path of doing talent shows. That if I was rubbish, because I didn't know, I thought I could do it, but and I had all these people saying, "No, you should do it." So I went to Scarborough, as I said, and there was a heat, a semi-final, and a final within 3 or 4 weeks, and I won them all. So I won £750, 1987. That by a small terraced house in Burnley. That one. And
what now?
Yeah, now. And then, as I say, national final. Went down there, did a semi-final because I won that one, and then won the final, £1,000. And so, all my early gigs were just like that. Yeah. It was when I came back up here and did Wigan Poolstock Wicked Men's Club. And, you go in and it's like, as I say, people just looking at you going, what is he talking about, really, And you get to the door and the bloke on the door says, who are you? Say, I'm Dave Spikey. What do you do? I'm a comedian. Oh, we don't get very many comedians here. You think, that's a bad sign, isn't it?
They sometimes say stuff like, do your best racist jokes. You're like, no, don't have many of them. Do you know what I mean? You think, this is going to suit my sort of material. This.
But there are some, you hear, there are some, I think Blackburn Rare Women's Club. And he said, right, you go on, you do 40 minutes. Then we have supper, bingo, right? Then you go on and do your dance spot. What do you mean a dance spot? Well, that's what happens here. You have to do it. The second spot's always a dance spot. I said, but I'm a comedian. Well, you've got the contract there in front of you. Read the small print and all that. So I went and did 40 minutes, died on my backside really, really badly. And sat in the dressing room and I could see my car on the car park outside. And I was like that far. I was just climbing out the window and doing a runner. But you don't, do you? You just
it's weird when you start doing it. You think, I've got to see this through. I remember doing one, and there was 2 people in the crowd. There was an open spot. Wait 3 months to get this open spot. There's 2 people, and I thought, oh God. And I was starting the routine. I was doing 20 minutes to 2 people.
Is this when I come to watch it?
No, that was even worse. And one of them put their hand up, and they said, "We're going to go for a cigarette." So I had to wait for them to have a cigarette halfway through. Do you know what I mean? So I come back, welcome back, and then right back into it. And like at the start, you just think, is this really what I wanted? Because sometimes it's good, and then sometimes it's bad, and it's a bit of a.
Most of them bad, most of them aren't bad, you know. And I mean, I went back on doing my dance spot. I just did the same 40 minutes because that's all I had. And they all ignored me again for 40 minutes, except one bloke did dance.
At the start, you make that mistake of just accepting anything.
Yeah.
You think, oh, showing hole, great. You get there, you're on after the strippers.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, this is a mistake. Do you know what I mean? And
but in the long term, like if you're doing the shit shows, if you're like, then that just has to build up that that resilience in you. Like so in the end, it'll probably do you a lot more good than would just go straight into doing the great shows.
That's a good point. Yeah, it's a thing that you somehow got to get it into your head, and by doing all the good shows first, it helped me. That I sort of knew, and somebody gave me the advice early on: if you come off and you've died horribly, it's not you.
Yeah,
it's them. And it's not so much them, it's the wrong club, it's the wrong venue, the wrong type of, evening for you sort of thing. So learn something from everything. You could have probably still done it better. Think how you could have maybe got them round and learned from it. But
so it's like, have you ever had a bit in a show or tried something like what you thought this should work, but it's just not quite working?
Yeah.
Because the amount of times I've seen like good comedians or even not necessarily like good comedians, but they do a bit and I think that should really work but they're either not quite telling it right or they're not the right comedian for that right bit or they're rushing it. They're just not delivering it right. I see that quite a bit.
I think if the art, if you like, or the skill of a comedian, it sounds a bit pretentious, but you know what I mean, there is knowing that instinctively, knowing you do it one night and it works, but it could be better, like you say. And as soon as you come off stage, make a note of it, or if you've got, just try and remember it for when you're going through your stuff the day after. And tweak it. When I do a gig now, even a big show, on my tour show, every day before the show, I write it out as if I'm revising for an exam. So just write it all out, because the more you write, the more ideas come to you, even that you haven't even thought of before, or going, well, why did I put that there? That fits so much better there. That follows on from that, and then that'll lead to that, and the flow of it, and the intonation, the way you present it it never stops improving. I don't think.
Well, I mean, even, obviously, I've never done stand-up, so I wouldn't know. But even just from an outside point of view, it's probably the only type of art where the audience tells you where things should go as well, isn't it? Because obviously, you do a song. Well, a song's the same every single time. The film's the same every single time. A play, but obviously because you're getting that feedback from the audience, then that probably tell you, well, if I changed the order of that and if I moved that round, then obviously they're telling you what works and what doesn't work as opposed to anything else.
It's the hardest one to do, isn't it, out of music, acting, and because people let you know right away, don't they? They can go from being on your side to against you, and I've seen TV acts just go downhill right off the bat. And in music, I could get up and sing Robbie Williams, kill it, kill the song to death, worst sound in the world. People still clap at the end, but comedy, you tell maybe 5 minutes of bad jokes, people are booing, aren't they? Get out of here, you stink.
But Woody Allen said, I'm a big fan of Woody Allen. His stand-up, have you seen Woody Allen's stand-up? It's fantastic. It's absolutely quite surreal, quite ahead of its time. I've got a cassette of it somewhere. He's just brilliant stand-up. That's how he started. And he always says the first rule of stand-up comedy is when you go on stage is make them like you.
Right.
Don't go in and sort of bang, 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 bang. Don't get in and start killing jokes. No, say hello, make them like you. A couple of little quick ones, a couple of little solid ones, and get them on your side, But I mean, some stories of those clubs. I mean, I tell a story and people think it's a joke, but it is not a joke. And I did this, one of the first paid gigs I ever did was at Golka British Legion. And you might have heard this story.
I remember, I've seen this on your stand.
And it's over Golka, it's near Huddersfield. And it was Australian theme night at Castlemaine 4X. And I went in and it's like they've gone to town. And there's there's didgeridoos and everybody's got hats with corks on them and all that. It's kangaroos, stuffed kangaroos and all that. And it's half-price Castlemaine, so it's packed. So I'm waiting to go on and the compere goes on. He's all right, Jerry St. Clair, this guy, and he's funny, patter, settle down, all that, Castlemaine 4X and all that. He said, so there's a boomerang on the piano. And he picked it up and he went, look at this, lads, you think if I throw this, it'll come back? And the bloke at the bar just turned around and went, if it hits me, it fucking will. Just genius. And then just turned around and just started thinking his pint again. Yeah.
But the thing, people don't realise how rough these clubs and that are, because you don't know you turn up to. There's something you just get booked, don't you? You turn up where we're doing this, you're on the snooker table, you're like, oh God. Do you need a microphone? You're like, oh, it'd be better. You know what I mean?
Yeah, do you need have you got your own PA and that? No. But you know what it is, isn't it? Early on, if you go to these talent shows, and agents have them, showcases. I don't know if they have them so much now for that circuit, for the working men's club circuit, social club circuit. And you used to go on a Thursday night to some big, I don't know, in Bolton, big Astor Beach Conservative Club or somewhere like that. And you'd do like basically a set, an audition. And if they like you, they started booking you. So the big one round here was I forget what it's called now, in Bolton. Oh, it's Tom Ivers, and he liked me, but he thought quite rightly. He said it won't work in the clubs. That won't work. You need to do gags. You need to do Irish gags. You need to do. And I went, well, I can't. He went, well, I can't boot you then. But best of luck. He was a good bloke, and so what you have to do then to get in the clubs, you have to go to these Sunday afternoon showcases where all the concert sects from the clubs who weren't going to pay an agent, which tells you something about them, don't want to invest in their entertainment, go and just book you directly. And like you say, you have no idea what you're getting into there. Because, it's not through a reputable agent, and you could just turn up and you could be, whatever you like, say on a snooker table or in back room. And I was doing one, and this guy, he came on stage, concert secretary before me. He said, "No, bear with me with this. This is true." He said, "Before we get turn on, thanks for bingo, Mary. Before we get turn on, there's been some allegations, hurtful allegations against the committee. Hurtful allegations." Wrongly directed at the committee, and these are not just hurtful, they're dishonest and they're disreputable, and we won't have it, ladies and gentlemen, these hurtful allegations. So we're having a meeting on Wednesday night, and we want every single alligator at that meeting, right? Then he says, then he says, "But one of the allegations we've taken to heart, and it's this: the standard of acts on a Saturday night has not been up to standard, and you deserve better. And we've had a meeting, and we have been cutting corners, tightening our purse strings, and you're quite right. The standard of acts on a Saturday night are not what you deserve after a day's work, a hard week's work. So, anyway, I want you to know that we're going back to our usual agents, and you're going to be getting a much better quality of acts on a Saturday night. Round of applause, thank you. Anyway, that's from next week. Will you welcome Dave Spikey.
Open the bar for you.
Oh, well.
But you moved up quite quickly, didn't you? One of these people, like some people take like Eddie Izzard and take years and years to get to that next level, where you just come right in, started headlining quite.
Yeah, well, two things
quickly.
happened. I think it's still around now, and they happened within the space of like a week, I think. That I'd started doing well on the open spots, and then the Buzz, I mean, that was a massive lift for me, the Buzz Club.
Yeah.
And then two guys were there who I'm still very, very friendly with, Eamon O'Neill and Jimmy Wagg, who had a show on BBC GMR, local radio. Big popular show, and they used to put on road shows, and they booked me for the road show. So that introduced me to a whole massive radio audience in the Northwest, BBC. And that went well. And then, because of all that, I got entered into, and you had to be invited into the Northwest Comedian of the Year competition, which was a big deal at the time. I mean, Carolina Hearn had won it the year before me, God bless her. So that's the sort of quality. Steve Coogan, John Thompson, people like that. And I won it. I got through, and I won it against the odds, because I wasn't the type of comedian who used to be winning him. You know what I mean? Because I had this different edge to me. I don't know what people call it. I hate tags, and it's always more mainstream. I don't know what that means, but I think it's just the way you tell a story. I don't know. So that happened. So I won that. So that sort of gets you a bit of kudos as well. And then I'd been on holiday, and I came in within 2 weeks, and the phone went, and it was an agent called Trevor Chance, who's still another good friend of mine. And he said, "All right, Dave," he said, and I'd only done, I think, one paid gig, the Boomerang gig. And he said, "Can you get to Blackpool in half an hour?" And I said, "Well, just about, yeah." He said, "Right." He said, "Can you get there to Opera House? Cannon and Ball need a compere for the summer season show." And I went, "Really? Why me?" And he said, "Well, there's nobody else can get there in half an hour, basically." And it's short notice, because they're on all week in Scarborough, and they come over here on a Sunday, to the Opera House, Winter Gardens. And the guy who was supposed to be comparing, Alan Stewart, the impressionist, he's refusing to compare, says he's not in a contract. So I just dumped my stuff, I got in my car, and I went to Blackpool, like 2,000 people, Opera House. It's fantastic. And Stuart Littlewood, who was another mate now, who's the manager, said, "Right, quick, you've got 2 minutes. You go on, you do 10 minutes, right? You get on Alan Stewart, right? He's an impressionist, right? You come back off, I'll tell you what to do. So that's what I did. And I had no time to think about it or anything. I just went on, did my best 10 minutes that I had at the time without thinking, went down great. Alan Stewart, come back on, I said, brilliant, right, go back on after Alan Stewart, do 5 minutes, get Linda Lewis on, rock-a-doodle-doo. So, okay, right. Did that. Then get Shahid Malik on, The Illusionist. All that. Then second half, interval, just coming down a bit. Go on, get Tommy and Bobby on. And then that's you done. I did 5-10 minutes, you know. And it just happened just like that. And it just, because of that maybe, and I'd not all week to worry about it or a month to worry about it or anything, it was brilliant. And anyway, I got a phone call the day after saying, can you do next Sunday? Can you do the Sunday after? And then the year after, they were going on national tour. Can you support Tommy and Bobby on tour? And then I've got another act you might be on to work with, Max Boyce. Well, I'm a massive Max Boyce fan, I always have been. I love these, as I said, folk club comedians. I love them. Yeah. This way they tell the story. So then I did tours with Max Boyce and I worked with the Grumbleweeds, and it just went like that. But then the other side, the bus side, was going really well. So one week I had Cannon and Ball on a Sunday night, and then I had, I think it was Jack D. I supposed Jack D on a Thursday night, Lee Evans on a Saturday night in some club in Cheshire. And then the week after I was with Max Boyce and looking at my diary going, how did that happen? How did that ever happen? Within the space of like, I don't know, probably about 3 or 4 months, you know. But I'm still doing well at the hospital. I just going like that on the hospital as well. So this was about mid-90s, so I still stayed for another
Did you find it hard going on before, at the time you weren't famous, going on before someone famous? Because any time I've ever done it, remember, I think it was at Scotland, Frankie Ball was on, he was just doing new material, but he's gone on after me. Yeah. Like, there was a few people on, and I thought, oh, we better, like, oh no, he's gone on before me.
Oh no, you don't want that.
No, I was like, any chance to swap this round? And like, Frankie Ball, everyone, the applause for about 10 minutes, you know, like,
yeah,
Frankie
well,
Ball,
they would, especially up there.
to get in or something.
Yeah, yeah.
And then it went from like Frankie Ball, the best comedian, you know, like in Glasgow, to John Lebbon for making it. It was like, oh, you could just tell like the atmosphere. Yeah. And it's a lot harder, isn't it? Because people are going to see that name. Yeah. So I just wonder if you thought it was any harder going on before someone like that.
Not before, no, I don't think it is.
Oh, after,
after, yeah, for sure. And naming no names, I've had it exactly the same happen where they've asked me to go, can you go on first? Because this is new material and I've only got like half an hour. I'm supposed to be doing an hour. And I'm like, well, not really, because look at that's the poster. Yeah. That's your name. Yeah. That's just about my name down there. So you're shortchanging them a bit, aren't you? So you be careful because you don't want to be upsetting them, but if you reason with them. But it's wrong. They shouldn't ask you to do it, should they, really, you know?
Yeah. When did you start writing comedy? Obviously, you're performing it. When did you start thinking, I'm going to do sitcoms and things like that?
I meant to dig it out. I started writing pantomimes at the hospital. That's how I got into it. In fact, I'm writing one now. I know there won't be any this year, but I've always something I wanted to revisit and bring a really up-to-date pantomime, pitching it right just for the kids and the parents, because I love pantomime. I started writing pantomimes for the hospital, which were quite inclusive to start off with, in that there were a lot of hospital-based gags and local gags about different doctors and departments and stuff like that. But then got bigger and bigger and bigger in Bolton, and so I've always written. And then the other day I was tidying my cupboard out, and I found a pay slip from Granada. Must have been round about that time. I wish I'd have got it out. I meant to get it out. And it was a sketch I wrote for the Grumbleweed show. And I got £80 for it. And it was about a computerised plane. So long time ago, this, again, as I said, probably the late 80s, about this, all seatbelts were automatic and a computer voice all the time saying like, your seatbelts will never be fastened. We are accelerating down the runway. We are at 100 miles an hour. We are at 200 miles an hour. We are at 300. We are ready for takeoff. Just sit back, relax. Nothing could possibly go. And everybody's going like that. Confuses. Yeah, so and I got paid £80 for that, and it was a big thrill watching that on telly before I even thought of doing comedy. Yeah.
When you were writing with Peter Kay, what was Peter Kay like to write with? Did you write in the same room together, or was it one of them where you just sort of send it to each other? And
well, we started off with a thing called That Peter Kay Thing.
Oh, I love that.
I think that's as good as Phoenix.
I think it's better actually.
But before that, me and Peter wrote a thing called Mad for the A6, where we travelled up the A6 from Buxton up to the lakes in a camper van, just with the film crew, and just improvised it. We had a couple of dry runs and stopped off at places and just chatted to locals and saw interesting things along the way. that I thought it's ever shown ever. I think it was just for Granada that, but that was good because Neil Fitzmaurice popped up in that, and a couple of other people. He was, I think, manager of the Apollo. It was stopped at the Apollo in Manchester because that's just there. But then so then we started, and I was still working at the hospital, so we'd get together at his house over lunchtime because he lived around the corner from the hospital, and just ideas, and I just write loads of stuff. He'd write loads of stuff. Neil wrote some stuff at them. To some degree, we never really knew whose was what. And we went in and we just chatted them through, acted them out, and then Peter collated them and put them all together. But for Phoenix, when we got commissioned for Phoenix, we said, get an office. So we got his office on the way into Bolton. And I'd get there, I got my notes, I'd get there at like, I don't know, 10 o'clock. Like Neil would roll in about 10:30, Peter like 11 o'clock, and we'd just sit there arguing for about an hour about what was a funnier pie. It's really, because it's important. It's important. Yeah. But chicken and mushroom, no, it's not cheese and onion. It's chicken and mushrooms are funnier pie. The one with the Wild West night, that snake-eyed pie. Well, what's in them? Well, chicken and mushroom. It's obviously funny. Cheese and onion, no, it's not funny. Yeah. We're just really arguing really bloody arguing about stuff like that. So at the end, we abandoned it and said, let's go back to the way we were doing it in the first place. Yeah. But it was great fun. Absolutely, had fantastic fun.
Did you know it was going to be that big when you were writing it? Because at the time, did you think, this is going to be huge, and 20 years later, people are still going to be wanting it on Netflix and things like that?
That's the mad thing, isn't it? We didn't. I think you just do your best, don't you? And you've got 3 comedians there who work in the circuit who've got their finger on the pulse of what's happening at the moment and what'll work. But I think the essence is also that if there's 3 of you writing, you see all the American comedies. I'm a massive fan of American comedy. I know some people can't stand it, but they have teams of writers. Yeah. And it makes a massive difference if you've got different inputs, because you can get quite blinkered about, that scene's done, it's finished, it's brilliant. You need somebody to come in and go, no, hang on about, what if we do that? And that triggers that, and that triggers that. Even if it's just like, what we should have? We should have a poster at the back of them with such a thing on it, or we should hear that on the radio. Yeah. You layer it and layer every scene. Yeah. I remember I was at British Comedy Awards once, and I was sat next to one of the producers for Frasier, who were up for some international award, and he was telling me about how many writers they have involved. Even when the 3 or 4 writers team have finished it, then they go to rehearsals, they have another couple of writers there tweaking it. Then even on the day of recording, they have another writer there, and they get paid so much money for getting 5 more laughs. They have a quarter of laughs, whether it's a sight gag or a dialogue or whatever. Yeah. And that's the secret. Just never leave it until all of you go, yeah, that's the best we can do. And quite often then you go back and go, we've missed a trick with that. Just keep doing it. So we knew it were good, but Channel 4 didn't have a lot of faith in it because they put it on like late on a Friday night, I think, to start off with. Right. And then it's sort of how anything gets cult following, but it did. Maybe because they hid it away and people were saying, have you seen that Phoenix Nights? Have you seen that? Have you seen that? And people started. So by the second series, the anticipation was like that.
Well, that Peter Kay thing, obviously that was before Phoenix Nights. Yeah. Did that actually because I seen that a couple of years after Phoenix Nights, obviously, because of the success of that. Anything that that you had done before, then obviously then gets brought out, and I got it on DVD. Was that actually on telly? But I'm sure I've got it in my head. I remember seeing
it was on
services.
DVD.
I remember seeing the one of the services.
Right,
sure
the services. Right, so I've missed a bit out. So yeah, Peter got offered because Peter just went like that from his stand-up, and they said to him, "We're doing this new series called Comedy Lab." And. Have you got an idea for that? And he to be fair, he said, I've got this idea about going to a service, doing a spoof mockumentary at a service station. So I went with him with a couple of other lads, and we went to Charnock Richards Services on the M6 there. Yeah. And then we also went to the one Rivington Services near Bolton and just observed and just watched it and just went, yeah, that'd be funny. Wouldn't it be funny if that happened? Wouldn't it be funny if that happened? And we all got together and wrote bits for it. Peter wrote the most of it. And I contributed a little bit here and there about the Charlie FM and stuff. And I think, I might be wrong, I've got notes somewhere. I'm pretty sure it was my idea that he did the character of the man as being a woman, dragging up to do the woman. Yeah. He was just fantastic at that, Yeah. But that was before. And so that was such a success. Channel 4 said, what about doing a series of spoof mockumentaries?
Right,
and that's where that piece of cake came from.
Yeah.
Because everyone's nostalgic for the comedy now, aren't they? Office, In-Betweeners, Phoenix Nights, there's nothing...
It's because there's no new good... I'm like, we're only like 35, like, but even we probably sound like old men now, like when we say like there's no like good new comedies, but there's nothing that really stands out. Like, I mean, in 20 years' time, I can't think that there's much being made now that in 20 years' time we'll look back on like Phoenix Nights, like The Office, or even something like Only Fools and Horses, which is probably a once in a lifetime kind of success. But there doesn't seem to be anything being made.
It's a different world, isn't it? And so the comedy, it changes, doesn't it? You know, and they all seem to me. I'm sort of 35, talking an old man here. It seems to me that a lot of the comedies that get commissioned these days are very middle class type settings. Nothing wrong with that, but I don't know. It's just missing the edge, just missing the real life.
You feel like it's
real life.
Feel very safe.
Like, safe. That's the way I'm struggling.
A lot of them are very, very. As you say, like I mean, like that goes back to obviously what we said about like things that wouldn't get commissioned now, but it feels as though like they're all on that. I know what I'm saying.
It's working class comedies that are missing from the TV now, isn't it? You never think, I'll tell you what, a lad from the council estate with that comedy. It's all like you say, it's like middle class drama sort of. It feels like that.
My favourite comedy of the last couple of years, I think bar none, is Derry Girls.
Oh, that was really good. I really
love
enjoyed
Derry Girls, and that's got it all in there. You know, it's got a bit of edge to it as well. You know, it's got a little all that going on in the troubles and stuff. You know, it's a really clever and and the mix of the characters. See, the things the Americans do so well and Derry Girls has done so well is the casting is really, really important. You've got to get the chemistry. You've got to get that, and I know the Americans pay the casting agents massive amounts of money just to get that chemistry and friction because. Yeah, a lot of them. I was watching Mike and Molly this morning. I don't know if you watched that.
I've seen a few.
Yeah, and it's just so well written. It's just and she's brilliant, Melissa McCarthy. It's no wonder she became a big star off the back of it. Yeah. But you know, the writing of it and the production of it and it's just the cast, the characters, the interactions are just right. You know, and in every American sitcom, in every episode, you'll find a moment of reflection, a moment of poignancy in there. You know, where actually. They become real people and just it's not just gag. It's light and shade all the way through. And so when you do get the gag, it's even more of a surprise, more of a punchline, more of a So and I think Derry Girls does that brilliantly.
It's just a laughter track that's bad on the American programs, isn't it? Sometimes like you'll be like, "Hi Dave, hi John,
There's a lot of that.
Yeah, that's the only thing I don't like about them. Big Bang Theory and things like good comedies, but I just don't like that laughter track all the time.
It almost feels as though like you're telling the stupid people in the audience this is the point we're supposed to laugh. Like, but it's like if you take that away, if you don't laugh without that, then it's not worth. Like it should. Like obviously, I mean, a lot of the British ones. I mean, we took that away. Seem to have taken that away years ago. But like ever since, say, The Office and Phoenix Nights came out pretty close to each other, and ever since then, like we don't seem to have anything like that.
No.
Did you and Peter cast Phoenix Nights? Or did you just think, these are lads off the circuit with cash in hand, a bit cheaper?
Oh, listen to that. No, everybody put forward suggestions that Peter. See, I'd sort of left the Northern Circuit by then, and I was doing the London Circuit.
That's lovely, that, Dave. Is that every hour?
Is that
3 o'clock.
3 o'clock.
It is 3 o'clock. Sorry, mate. So I'd sort of gone off the Northern Circuit. Peter was he's just taking off up here big time, and Neil was working the circuit, and so I didn't know really anybody, local comedians, and Peter wanted to cast it, and so half the point of it being real, or was to use not actors. You were saying we were talking before about how comedians are basically actors when they're on stage, the way they tell a story. So I didn't know Toby Foster, I didn't know Justin Morris, I didn't know any of those before. So Peter and Neil got together, or Peter knew these people and got them all together. But that's another reason why it worked brilliantly. But can you imagine how much fun we had? Just looking at me, and the crew were just because continuity was up the pole, and just laughing at everything, and the outtakes are just
like the outtakes where you're sitting around and Justin's trying to tell the story about, and we had this boss a Walkers Chris or whatever. Yeah,
we had a fella like that at Walkers. He organised a Christmas do, and it was all in £25 buffet and everything, and then we weren't booking hotel. 25 takes later, it's like and Justin's face is just like, come on, because he wasn't doing anything wrong at the end. It's just everybody was just laughing.
Yeah, no, like I know what tears that. I tell you, I didn't realise who was that good a comedian until after seeing it. Who was it to play Spencer?
Oh yeah, Daniel Kitson.
Yeah. I didn't realise, because I've been listening to a few podcasts and I've heard a few people talk about Daniel Kitson and about that he's a real, he doesn't do much, but what he does is very, very good. And I went on and watched it, I thought, geez, I didn't realise that was him. He's very, very good.
Yeah,
he's
a great he's a one-off, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's a quite unique comedian, He's like...
But what is it? He doesn't
do many, though, does he?
No, it's the way his mind works is so unpredictable.
Yeah.
It's a stream of consciousness type of comedy.
Yeah.
This is just I worked with him a couple of times not with it, but on the same venue as him. We did comedy festivals, and he was on one stage and I was on another. I always went seeing Daniel. Yeah, brilliant.
So when you get someone like that in, would you let them then be part of the process, or was it just no, this is the way we've done it, we brought you in because we think you're good enough and funny enough to do it, but you're not adding anything to it?
I didn't have any sort of input into that, but I think they had to just follow the script really.
Yeah.
But then it's like with comedians, aren't they? So if something happens in one take that's funny,
just go with it.
And Peter liked it, and it was working. Yeah, just keep that in. But there wasn't a lot of that, as far as I remember.
Right. Because when you done Phoenix Nights Live, I thought you were definitely going to do a third series of Christmas special.
Yeah.
Is there no have you never just thought one night when you've had a few, I'm just going to set up a WhatsApp group, get Peter in, Paddy McGuinness, Archie, and just
put the
band back together.
I think you can. I don't know. I'd love to do it. I'd love to do a Christmas special. I had one written in my head. That's as far as it went, about them organising a big Christmas do at the Phoenix, and Den Perry from the Banana Grove, looking at it thinking I'm going to sabotage the whole thing, and he kidnaps someone at a time. You just see him being kidnapped from the supermarket or down the pub or whatever, and he puts them in an old airbase on the moors. And so it's like Great Escape, because that's always on at Christmas, and they all got to get back to the club to do the Christmas.
Yeah.
So you've got Brian Potter with barbed wire, trying to get over barbed wire, and you've got Holy Mary doing Christmas nativity praying and all that. But it's just stayed in my head. I think Christmas special might have worked. I don't know.
No, it's something everyone would like to see, isn't it?
Yeah, no,
there's loads of avenues you could go with it now as well, because the world's changed, hasn't it? You could be on Britain's Got Talent, Jerry the Berry on Britain's Got Talent, something like that, going through the process. This is your big chance.
The weird thing is, Holy Mary, Janice, she did Britain's Got Talent last year.
Yeah.
Did she?
Yeah, she did it last year. She did very well on it.
Yeah.
As I remember.
She's a crazy act live.
Well, I know she is.
I've only seen her once, and she's not what you expect. She was doing crowd surfing.
No,
things like that.
Nice. She does it a character. She did a character Barbara Nice.
Right.
Barbara's in Streisand, Nice is in the biscuit. And I've been doing these podcasts, YouTube sketches with her at the moment. She's brilliant. And I once did at the Lowry. She was at the Lowry with the show, and she said she'd had this idea that she was late for the show, and I was in the next theatre. I think that's how it works. But I wasn't starting till half an hour after her, and she said, "Will you go on dressed as me and just do 10 minutes because I'm late?" And I've got a picture of me somewhere, so I went on dressed as Barbara Nice and did 10 minutes. And she just came running in through the audience. Yeah, I'm okay.
It'd be a nightmare if no one noticed, wouldn't it? It's a big kick to the confidence, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
But the panel shows, I remember you used to do, you were captain 8 out of 10 cats.
Yeah.
You don't do them as much now. Is it? What we were saying this beforehand. They seem quite robotic, don't they? It is very scripted now. I'll say something and you come in with that. And I think even when you're watching it, you can see that now. And it's filmed over quite a long time, isn't it? 3 hours or something like that.
More than that sometimes. Yeah. It was great to do. I met some brilliant guests. The massive positive side was every week you don't know who you're going to be sat next to, and I had Joan Rivers on my team twice. And she's a massive, she's unbelievable. If you read her autobiography, she went through it. She came from a very well-to-do family, but she had to graft the Catskills, do all the clubs up there, which I think was similar to our social club circuit. I don't know. And everybody was on at her because she wanted to be a lawyer or a doctor or whatever, and she just got on with it. So to be sat with her and I took I've got a paperback autobiography, and I took it down. I did just under my thing like that. So one interval, one break, I just went, "Sign my book, please, George." And she was lovely. She wrote a lovely thing in it. So from that point of view, it's brilliant, but it's hard work. It's not for me, really. I wasn't very good on it, I don't think. I think early days. Okay, so I did 3 series that went well, I think, but it completely consumes your life. It's filmed on a Thursday, so all week you're looking at the news, what's going to be in the top stories. Because when I did it, a lot of it, you didn't know till the last minute what was going to be the top 5 news stories. So you had to keep second guessing. But 3 things could happen the day before or the night before. That were so newsworthy, you had to comment on them. So that it was pressure. Now, you've got people like Sean Locke, who's brilliant at improvisation, and Jimmy, who's brilliant. And I've got to prepare.
Yeah.
So it's not my forte. It's not my strong point. So, I struggled a bit on it, to be fair. And I used to come off and, like you were saying, it's your turn, it's your turn, it's your turn. I just let people have the turn and stuff. And the producers used to say to me, "You're too kind, you're too generous. You've got to get in there." So you're competing against your own team as well, to a degree. So I loved it. But 4th series, bit of sadness, bit of poignancy. My brother, I was caring for my brother. He'd had cancer for a long time, and he'd just gone terminal, really. So I was caring for him, not full time, just part time. He lived in Darwin, and he was a big fan of mine. He used to come to all my gigs and stuff, and good lad. And he was suffering, and so that I'm not making excuses, but that was happening at the same time as the 4th series. Backwards and forwards to London and all the pressure, and I was a bit shit on that series, and at the end of it I said I don't want to do any more, and I think they went, "Thank God for that," but so it was a bittersweet experience, that last series, but on the whole, what a blast being on with those. I was on with Emo Phillips and people like that, big American comedians, which is brilliant. And as I said, I think 3 out of the 4 series were pretty good.
I don't think back then it didn't look as scripted then. When you were a captain then, it didn't, whereas now, like, you just think, like, you're getting these reality people coming in with a joke. You think, I know for a fact she has not just thought of that. Do you know what I mean? Gemma Collins has not just come out with that story there. Yeah. Just sort of like, oh, he's Gemma Collins.
You can tell the delivery as well, can't you? It is scripted,
Well, that's what I thought. Like when you said of it, like sort of throughout the week, you're like scanning the newspapers to get. But I assume that you had writers behind the scenes. Like,
there are some there as a backup.
Right.
If you're struggling for a line for a particular topic, you can call on them to do it. But early days, they say, and I'd rather do my own stuff. I'd rather write my own stuff, and I think that's right, sort of thing. But if you were struggling now and again, they'd come in. They say, "Well, you've got there's half a dozen lines there. You might be interested, or might give you an idea that you can go off that tangent." But so they always have that safety net.
Right.
The other one that should have stayed is Bullseye. I love Bullseye. I don't know if it's because Tony dressed like my dad. I don't know. Like, he's the only person I've seen dressed like my dad. He had them like suedes on and silver grey pants.
Well, I turned it down a couple of times because it's a poison chalice, really. Because Bullseye's Jim Bowen. Always will be. Yeah. He was the man. Yeah. And so, but it became clear that he couldn't do it for one reason or another. So my agent's like, you should do it. And they're filming it in Leeds, Manchester. Sorry, let's get it right. We ended up in Leeds because of an asbestosis problem. But so it was local and all that. And so I went for the screen test and did it all. And I love the show. I think it's the best show, one of the best shows ever. Because you don't have to be a brain of Britain to win it. You don't have to be the best dart player.
I love how serious the take it though as well. Like the darts player, that's his moment, isn't it? You know what I mean? He's been playing all them years in the pub and that, and then he's on telly, not smiling or anything. I know.
Well, it's a nerve-wracking thing. That is a live audience as well, of course, and we used to film 5 shows a day, which is hard work. So, like I said, I did it, and I think I did 80 shows or something ridiculous over 5 shows a day. It didn't take that long, and so it suffers because of that. And I'm making excuses again, am I? But and you're always going to be compared with Jim Bowen. So I know a lot of people. I got death threats. How dare you take over Jim? Well, but on the whole, it was. I got a review in the Times of all of all newspapers to review the Bullseye, the actual Times said the natural successor to Jim Bowen, which was like a brilliant thing. But I mean, out of the 80, I'm sure 75% of them were really good. And it was a blast doing it with Tony. We had to.
What's his background? What is he? You never see him on professional darts. No one's seen him after Bullseye. Did he just hide behind the screen and then come back out when it started?
I don't know. He
again?
always used to. Was it Lakeside? He always used to commentate on as well.
Or does he commentate? All right.
Yeah.
I just mean visually. You've never seen him.
No, but you know, you're pinching yourself because this is a show you've watched for years and years and years and loved.
Yeah.
Because I love it. And before the audience comes in, you've got to do Bully's prize board. So you've got like this. Got Tony there going, in one. And you're going, make finding lost treasure an absolute pleasure with his Viking metal detector. Because like finding lost treasure usually it's a pain in the arse, isn't it?
Yeah.
Finding lost treasure an absolute pleasure. And we had an inflatable jet ski as a prize one. And it was yellow, big yellow inflatable jet ski like that. And we came up with like, it's nothing yellow I want to see in my pool. Stuff like that. And we sneaked a few through that didn't really notice. George Foreman Grill. If grilling your meat is your idea of a treat. So, no, it was fantastic. I loved it. I absolutely loved doing it. And we did it over in Leeds, as I say, and it was just a blast doing it. A great crew, great whatever. And I'd love for it to have gone on, and I wish I'd have done it I'd got the contract right where I got royalties, because it's still on, I think.
I was just going to say, it's still,
I think
it's still on Challenge or something like that. I think it's on nearly every week.
They've got a bully up there, like a Bullseye bully up there. Yeah.
But it was the prizes and things like that made it as well, wasn't it? You know, like they've gone through it all. There's a pair of job seekers allowance couple there. They're thinking this is it, and they win clothes, and you can see in their face like, oh my god, I've run a cardigan and some pants. And
yeah, but on the other hand, you've got like right now. Then you've won 250 quid, and you've won like you say a trouser press. And a George Foreman grill. So you're going to gamble on Bully Star Prize? No, we've had a great day. Really? Yeah, all right, we'll go to the second couple. You won £100 and a beach ball. No, I'll tell you what, we're not going to gamble because get into the third couple on one occasion. No, yes, you are. You're going to gamble.
37 quid, we'll have a meal on the way home.
Oh, slip of that. But wow, what a joy that was. Yeah.
But, well, we're near the end now, aren't we?
We're done, yeah.
But anyways, cheers for coming on, Dave. And
that's brilliant. No, thank you.
No, look at all your awards up there as well. That's just feel inadequate when I got to my house.
Fish are killing me now.
10 metre swim award. But anyways, cheers for coming on, Dave.
Yeah,
You're welcome. Great seeing you again, lads.
Yeah, cheers, bro. Thanks a lot.